Welcome back to NewOrleans.Football presented by PJ's Coffee. We are coming to you from the Oshner Andrews Sports Medicine Institute podcast studio up here on Veterans Memorial Boulevard, right next door to my guy Matt Bowers Ford dealership. It's a state-of-the-art dealership. All of his dealerships throughout the region offer top-tier customer care, the best prices, and an excellent car buying experience. Make sure you check Matt out at one of his many locations today. Today, we are kicking off our Top 21 countdown, top Saints players heading into the season, where they exist right now. These were voted on between me, Mike, and Brandon. These are kind of the collective aggregate scores of where they ended up. We're going to get into the top three guys on the list in our first segment, presented by Rouse's, the official supermarket of the New Orleans Saints. At number 21, sneaking onto the list, we got Foster Moreau.
Yeah, I mean, he was right on the verge for me. I wish I had it on here. I think you might have had him one spot higher than B, but you both had him in the teens. He's interesting. I mean, I think injury plays a part in this, which is a real shame that he got injured in the last game of the season, but we saw him out there a lot in the spring. And if he can hit the ground running in training camp, we already heard Kellen Moore say so many good things about how valuable it is. It's crazy that he's only been here for a couple of years, because he almost feels like, I'm not going to put him in like the DeMario, Cam, Alvin group, but like he feels like one of these guys that's just part of the fabric of the team. And I think you do get bonus points for that, in addition to being a blocker and being a pass catcher and being a pivotal part of this offense.
Item 18th on my list, just someone that kind of does a lot of things well. I think the team leadership, as you mentioned, plays a big part in kind of putting together his value. You even see the importance right now. He's not on the field. He's not playing. He's out at every single practice. You hear him out at every single practice. He's hyping guys up. He's showing them how to do things the right way. Kellen Moore talked about him being an integral part of, he's everything you want in a Saint. So, yeah, just someone that I think belongs on this list. A solid player, was a good find for him, good culture guy. Just the aggregate of everything he does, I think, fits this team really, really well. Next on our list is Brennan Cooks.
Yeah, another one like Foster Moreau that they just added in free agency this year, but he feels like he could be an important leader and veteran, and obviously we've got a theme going. He is not putting up the same numbers that he did in his career. I kind of wondered, how important of a role he was going to play on this team when they first signed him in free agency, but I like everything I've seen this spring. I mean, I'm kind of already like over my concerns about how Olave and Shaheed and Cooks have so many redundancies. I mean, they all play wide receiver. There's room for all three of them to make plays on the field. Some of them will work inside, some of them will go deep, and they'll change those positions at different times. I don't look at Cooks and think I'm seeing like an aging relic of someone who used to be good. I think when healthy, I still see the speed. I certainly see the ball skills with him. Maybe he's not going to be the top red zone target on this team, but we might be shortchanging him at number 20 just because he hasn't been around here. I think if he had been on this team, he might be getting some of those like bonus points credit of like a veteran that's been here the whole time.
Yeah, I liked what we saw out of in the summer practices as well. Specifically down towards the red zone, he had two slants that he caught from an inside position. That's part of his game that we didn't really see the first time he was here. It was typically a lot on the outside. It was really ineffective from the slot, and the fact that he's doing a little bit of that now maybe creates some versatility, maybe a touch more than we thought. The thing is, with his role on the team, even if I don't think he's lost a step either. And if he has, his feet are moving too damn fast to count, because he's still really, really fast. But he could be an aging relic, because all he has to do is be like the third guy on the team. You aren't asking him to be the number one.
Yeah, if he puts up Traquan Smith numbers, he was worth the yeah.
And I think he gives you Traquan Smith numbers in a more predictable, reliable package. I think just the health thing. I think him getting healthy puts him back in a position to succeed. I think he's still someone that can help a team. It is interesting that he's talked about as a leader. I think there's a lot of maturity from the last time he was here to now. And I think he's a good guy to have around. But, you do think about how he left here last time, and the fact that he's back and is this like big locker room presence and everything. It all makes sense. I think he's here at the right time, and somebody's going to get hurt. Like these two receivers, they missed a lot of time last year. if there are redundancies, the redundancies are at least insured now to some degree. So I like having him here. I think he's a good fit on the team. I like a lot of what he brings, which brings us into our next guy on the list, Cam Jordan, coming in at 19. I had him at 21. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, there's a theme here with these three guys, right?
It's like, him at 20.
Yeah, I think we might have all three had him at 20, but I think he ended up at 19 because he was on all three ballots. And look, I don't know if that's fair to Cam Jordan or not. We always wrestle what you've done versus where you are now in your career. Maybe it's a little low. We're about to transition into a different kind of player. We've got these three veterans here in these three spots. And look, there's a little bit of mystery with Cam. He was rapidly declining on these lists. Last year he had 0 sacks through the first 9 weeks of the season, and crazy enough, the game where Dennis Allen got fired, and I think even more importantly to Cam Jordan, when Todd Grantham got removed as defensive line coach, he then had 4 sacks over the second half of last season, was used in more of a pass rush role, which is what he wants to do. I was a little curious when we came out here and saw them implement this 3-4 defense, if he was going to be an interior defensive lineman or if he was going to be an edge guy. And he's been working with the edge guys. I know that's going to light a fire under him. He's going to be the 3rd or 4th guy in. He's probably going to play 20 to 25 snaps a game when guys are healthy. And maybe 4 sacks is kind of the over-under that you set for him again. But the leadership, the being in the locker room, the being the fabric of this team in the community, they just had freaking Cam Jordan Day. That's through the roof. When you add it all together, should he be 12th? Should he be 15th? Should he be 20th? I mean, I don't know for sure, but I'm glad he's still part of this team. I think even though it's a rebuilding team, getting him to take the pay cut and still be a part of just the attitude and the mood of this team, I think is still really important.
Yeah, good player, has stuff to give. I think he's appropriately ranked here. I mean, he's probably not on the starting defense or whatever. So
yeah,
it just is what it is. I mean, that's where he's at in his career. He's played a long time. He's distinguished. I think he's probably better than he looked last year.
He's been number one on this list in the past. I mean,
yeah. So
I mean, no disrespect to his career. Yeah.
It's really that it's a testament to his longevity more than anything. Moving on to our next set of 3, presented by Hardhide Punch a Toll Strawberry Whiskey and Chilton County Peach. Make sure you check them out. Number 18, Kelvin Banks. Now, I had him 21 on my list just because he hasn't played. And in previous years when we've done these lists, I've ranked rookies way too high based on potential. So it's kind of an acknowledgement of like, hey, they got a really good player. He's probably going to end up higher than 18. I probably saddled this ranking a little bit by putting him there just because I wanted to acknowledge his presence, but I didn't know where to slot him.
Well, let's go ahead and put these 3 in a group. 18, Kelvin Banks. 17, Kool-Aid McKinstry, who's a second-year pro. And that already seems kind of silly to me, even though I might have done it that way too. It's like, how much credit do you give someone for playing? Like, Banks is the 9th pick in the draft. Kool-Aid was the 40th pick in the draft. Just because he has 1 year of experience, does he go that far ahead of him? But then you've got Brazee at 16, who was a first-round pick and is now going into year 3, and he hasn't taken that leap out of this category yet. So you can anoint someone too soon until they've shown it to you. So it is always tough to where to rank potential versus what we've seen yet. I sure hope Kelvin Banks ends up like 10 spots higher next year. I mean, for that pick to pan out, he needs to be elite. This needs to be the only year in his whole Saints career that he's not in the top 10. So you have to make them earn it. You have to see him on the field because there are cautionary tales of guys. Trevor Penning never got there, and he was only picked, 10 spots lower. But I really do feel like Kelvin Banks, I don't know how much of it is he better be better, or I just genuinely believe we got to be looking at a guy who should be top 10 by next year, right? Like,
no
that's
question.
The talent we're talking about, right? And he's not a mystery player either who went to Texas San Antonio or anything. He was starting at left tackle for Texas for the better part of 4 years.
I go so far as to say, like, he better be like top 6 or 7 on this list next year. Like, the barrier for entry into the top 10 is not that high. So if you're the 9th pick in the draft, you absolutely should be able to get into the top 10 on this list, and that's where he should end up. It's just tough to place him. Look, I think Kool-Aid got ranked based on where he's at, actually, and like Banks is just kind of on the list. So we put him on the list. Brzee was the guy I think we had the most variance on as a group. I don't know where everybody had him. I
have him with a 13, an 18, and a 19.
I had him at 19. Brandon, where
I think I was the 13, yeah.
You were the 13. All
so
right.
B must have been 18, yeah.
Why 13?
I mean, let me look and see. I mean, like I had him ahead of a Kool-Aid because he has done some things. I'm still
7.5 sacks. I mean, that's a fair reason.
It's the main reason you bring a defensive lineman in, and he had 4.5 as a rookie and 7.5, and he also had the important blocked field goal last year. So he's got skins on the wall. He's got like I've done this in the league. Some things that like I said, like a Trevor Penning hasn't done. And he's very special in those areas. Like he's a difference maker in the number one thing that you hope a defensive lineman will be a difference maker in. I'm obviously concerned about the run defense and the fact that hasn't gotten better, that he hasn't been a game takeover guy, that he hasn't become an every down guy. Pro Football Focus hates him for an example. If you watch him down to down, you don't like the sum total of what you see. But he's got one thing that's special, and it's the most important thing in football outside of the quarterback position, arguably. So that gave him some credit. But, yeah, I mean, I think I had a cutoff point. Maybe it was right after 12, and then I put him 13th, where 13th through the guys we're talking about right now. I when you guys did 18 and 19, I didn't, like, bat an eye at it. He's in that 13 to 19 group, and look, he's also got room to be a top 10 guy in this league. But I think, unlike Kelvin Banks, the clock's ticking on him now. It better be this year that he shows it.
Yeah, I don't think there's a big difference between guy 13 and guy 21 on this list. So it's just kind of a matter of like, has this person disappointed me more than that person? I think with Bryan Brzee, I entered it with expectations that he was going to get on the other side of his like college injuries, the off-field, trauma and all. Like there was just a lot of stuff that kind of got in his way of just consistency in college. And I thought getting on the other side of that, they drafted a guy, and I was like, man, I think he has top 10 pick type potential if everything comes together. And I think the boom plays probably exists there. If you drafted a DT at 10 and he's doing everything well and gets 7.5 sacks, you're talking about him as like a very impactful player. It feels like Bryan has 7.5 sacks, but he doesn't have 7.5 sack impact.
I agree.
It's just like you said, the run defense and some of the other plays, and you just kind of would like him knocking on the door a little bit more. But there were so many issues with how they designed their pass rush, how they designed just everything last year. They get Todd Grantham out of there. I think a lot of the players didn't feel like that was a good fit for their group. Maybe it all improves this year. I still think that he has upside and potential. The 7.5 sacks make it very easy to digest the other stuff because it's like, hey, this guy's getting 7.5 sacks. Like it makes it okay. But I think it has to get better for me. And I think there's a little bit of, for me, my ranking is probably a little bit of bringing some like, this hasn't gotten to where I think it should have went.
He was number 16 on our last list last year because his 4.5 sacks felt like 4.5 with an arrow pointing up, and his 7.5 sacks kind of felt like an arrow staying even. I talked to Brandon Staley about him and why he thinks he'll be a good fit in his system, and it sounds like there's going to be more opportunities to rush a passer. They're going to try to create one-on-one matchups for him, just scooting him over a tiny bit in a 3-4 front. Obviously, nickel packages, it'll look the same. But it's funny that I think he could have another 7.5 sacks, but we feel better about it. Like, it feels like he maxed out at 7.5.
So they're going to move him over to 5 tech. Yeah, that makes sense. And he plays 3 now. That makes sense. Yeah, okay. All right. I'm excited to see it. I still think he can do more.
No
he had 7.5 sacks.
He has to this year.
Well,
hold on real quick because we kind of just glossed over Kool-Aid McKinstry. I mean, it's impossible to like vault him high because he just didn't get a ton of experience last year. Do you expect him to be way higher on this list next year?
I think he needs to be.
Yeah.
I think it needs to be reflected on it. Yeah, I think he's playing in a system that he played in college. I think he's set up to have every opportunity in the world for his good and the team's good. I think he needs to be way higher on this list. He's somebody that I would hope would be an easy top 12 guy next year that, when we see it. I don't know that we got a full picture last year, but yeah, I think absolutely that's something that I think they need to be hoping for.
It's really important for their future. It's important for their future that guys like him turn into real players. Like like I want to have tough decisions on the top 10, top 12 next year because like just a few years ago when we were like, man, I don't want to keep him out of the top 10. I don't want to keep him out of the top 10. It's not the same. They need guys. They need bona fide top 10s, and it needs to be guys that they've invested high draft picks in.
He doesn't even got to be a star, you know?
No,
like,
right.
even if he gives you 2017 Ken Crawley with some picks, like if he gives you that every week, I think you feel good about him. Like Ken Crawley was a good player that year, just didn't intercept the ball. If you give me that coverage with some picks, if you give me Jackrabbit level play when everybody felt good about Jackrabbit,
well, how
just
about
a solid starter that you're fine with.
2023 Adebo even aiming too high? That was like a really good season for Adebo. That'd be
That's
great.
a good.
That'd be great.
That's in the realm. Yeah. If you're just giving me I'm comfortable putting this out there every single week, and I feel good about it, and I don't have to think about it. That's a great place to exist at that position. If you're above it, even better. But just get to there. This is like him and Banks to me on this list are reflectives of kind of incomplete. Like I just think there isn't enough data to really evaluate them, to really rank them, to really slot them anywhere. But I want to see where they end up. We're going to hit a quick break, and we will be back with the continuation of the list. The Ochsner Orthopedics Walk-In Clinic is now open. Located at 1201 South Clearview Parkway, across from the Elmwood Shopping Center, this clinic provides convenient same-day care for a variety of orthopedic and sports injuries. No referral or appointment needed. Whether you need care for strains, sprains, fractures, sports injuries, or muscular pain, the team of orthopedic specialists offers care for patients 5 and older. Open Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. and on Saturdays and Sundays from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m.
Rouse's Markets is voted best grocery store in New Orleans, best grocery store in Baton Rouge, Mississippi, Gulf Coast, Thibodaux, Houma, Hammond, Lake Charles, Mobile, year after year. Thank you for choosing us best grocery store on the Gulf Coast. Number one. Thank you.
Thank you.
The number one grocery store
In Mississippi, Alabama,
Louisiana. 1 million customers a week can't be wrong. Welcome to Rouse's.
The NewOrleans.Football show is proudly presented by PJ's Coffee. PJ's Coffee has some of the best drinks that you can find. They have locations all over the city. They have pastries and everything else you need to get your day started. So go check them out. Looking for the best insurance coverage at the lowest price? Look no further than Chabert Insurance, the Earhart Agency. They are a local independent insurance agency right here in New Orleans, specializing in home, flood, and auto insurance. At Chabert Insurance, the Earhart Agency, their dedicated team will shop every available carrier in the market, ensuring you get the most comprehensive coverage at the lowest possible price. Why settle for less when you can have the best? Trust Chabert Insurance, the Earhart Agency, to protect what matters most to you. I do. I've been a client of theirs since 2021. Call them today at 504-326-6526 or visit them online at Protected by Chabert. That's 504-326-6526. Chabert Insurance, the Earhart Agency, your local insurance experts. Hardhide flavored whiskey, Ponchatoula strawberry, and Chilton County peaches in your favorite bars, stores, and restaurants. Hardhide Chilton County Peach Whiskey is a blend of aged wheat whiskey, light American whiskey, and fresh Chilton County peaches from Alabama's Durbin Family Farms. And Hardhide Strawberry Whiskey tells the story of a small town famous for strawberry farming. A delicious natural strawberry-infused 86-proof whiskey for whiskey lovers. Just look for the red and orange bottles in your favorite stores, bars, and restaurants. Welcome back to the Ochsner Andrew Sports Medicine Institute podcast studio for more NewOrleans.Football. Going on to our next guy on this list, and I think he's one of the more interesting guys that are ranked on here, one of the more interesting guys going into the season. This one is presented by Chabert Insurance, the Earhart Agency. Make sure you are looking for the Earhart Agency when you are calling Chabert. What does Juwan Johnson need to do to most finally break through? He's 15th on our list.
Look, he has to do it on a consistent basis. You made a really good point when we had a show at the end of OTAs and minicamp where you were like admitting that you're going to buy into him again this year because of what we saw in minicamp. And we've always seen glimpses of that, but it has come and gone with him in his career, and he hasn't put it together for a whole season. But man, I mean, the opportunity is going to be there. He's the big-bodied, proven target in this offense, and he needs to play that way. He needs to be a red zone target. He needs to be a third down go-to guy. Yeah, he needs to block a little more, but only in the sense that gets him on the field more and keeps him on the field more often. I don't care if he's a pass catcher first who just does enough as a blocker. I still think it's all possible. But I mean, we can't give him a benefit of the doubt in the rankings because I can't tell you right off the top of my head the highest he's ever been in our rankings, but I know that going into other seasons, I think I've felt better about, yes, his arrow is pointing up, and now I think he's in a little bit of a hold pattern on that runway, and you're waiting for that plane to take off, and it still can, but we need to see it. We need to see it.
I just want to see a good 440 every week. Give me 4 catches, 40 yards every single week. Do that every week, and man, that feels like an outstanding place to be with your tight end. That's, I don't know, 60 catches and 680 yards. I guess that's really, really good production, but somewhere around there, 336, 440.
68 catches, right?
Yeah. That's a lot of catches, but just something in that realm of consistency. Yeah. I my biggest thing with him, I was saying on that last show, I feel like there's just some big weeks and then some disappearing acts, and it feels like you'll not really see him for 2-3 weeks in a row, and then all of a sudden he comes out with an 86-yard game or something like that. And it's just, if you can just hit it every single week, just give that reliability factor of this is consistent production all the time, I think it feels completely different. I'm not expecting him to metamorphosize as a player and become something more than he is. I just kind of want what he is every week. And if you can just do that every single week, I think you earn the contract. I think you help one of these young quarterbacks develop. And I do think that these guys are just probably better fits for him. I just don't think it ever really hit between him and Derek.
Even more than the catches, and obviously we need more consistency. There's too many ones and zeros on here. But it's the touchdowns. Now look, when he had 7 touchdowns a couple years ago, there was something fluky to that because they were using him in their 5 wide, hurry up, 2-minute drill offense. And that year they were in that a lot.
Kobe Fleener even would get a ton of yards out of that.
And I think 5 of his 7 touchdowns came in that that year. And so it was a misleading number. He wasn't a 7-touchdown guy that year, but he should be a 7-touchdown guy because now he's actually playing more snaps.
Yeah.
He's on the field more than he was then. And he should be a top red zone target. He should be catching slants. He should be bodying up against a mismatch. They should get him against a linebacker. So I'm really most disappointed by the 4 and 7 total touchdowns over the last 2 seasons is the most disappointing number for me with him. So even if his catch total doesn't get to 68, even if it stays closer to 48, I want that to come with 6 touchdowns, 7 touchdowns.
I agree. All right, we're going to hit a quick break, and we will be right back.
I got hurt in a car wreck. Why should I get Gordon?
Because when you're hurt, you need money. And I fight for the people of Southeast Louisiana every day. I got a client who injured their neck in a car wreck, $250,000. Another client was hit by a big truck and needed back surgery. I got them $700,000, and they deserved every single penny.
That's what I'm talking about. Why wouldn't I get Gordon?
If you've been hurt in a car wreck, just call me New Orleans. Get it done.
Call 504-800-8888.
You ever take a bite of something and immediately think, yeah, I'm coming back for this? Bobby Hebert's Cajun Cannon Restaurant just added some new dishes, and man, they crushed it. The shrimp and crawfish pistolets, golden and stuffed with bold Cajun flavor. Fried oyster tacos, crispy, fresh with the perfect kick. And the soft shell crab Alfredo, creamy, rich, and absolutely worth the order. They're open 7 days a week, and they deliver late. Bobby Hebert's Cajun Cannon Restaurant. Delicious food, superior service. Attention Saints fans, don't let pests and termites invade your home field. Trust the team at Red Pest Solutions to tackle those unwelcome visitors. Call the Red Man today for unbeatable pest and termite control. Score peace with no pest. Visit redpest.com, REDDPEST.com.
Here at the Queen Casino, indulgence knows no bounds. Prepare your taste buds for an extraordinary culinary journey. Start your day at Capital Coffee. Craving something different? Three Walks Noodle Bar offers a tantalizing selection of Asian delights. At 1717 Kitchen and Cocktails, savor American cuisine with a twist. or ascend to the loft for an elevated experience. Enjoy artesian grazing boards and exquisite craft cocktails. Join us at the Queen Casino. Your royal adventure awaits.
Welcome back. It is now time for our next topic, presented by Bobby Hebert's Cajun Cannon Restaurant. Who just missed the top 21 for you? Is there anyone that you couldn't get in that you wanted to get in?
Yeah, there were 3 other players who got votes from one or more of us that missed the list. And for me, that player was Godshaw. I had Godshaw, I think, in my 21st spot. And again, this is very similar to like the Brandon Cooks. Like if Godshaw had been on the Saints this whole time, he'd probably be like 16th. Like you get respect when we've seen you do it. He plays a you have to see it to respect it type of position.
I moved him in and out. He was on my list. He was off my list. He was on my list.
If we were doing a Patriots list, like he probably would have earned his way on it, and now he has to prove it to us that there's value in being the first and second down run stopping nose tackle. But the Saints valued it because they went out and traded for him on the very first day of free agency. If he helps this run defense, I promise you I'll reserve a top 15 spot on the list for him next year.
Blake Groupie just missed
he
for
was
me.
One of the
he's somebody that probably should have been on. JT Gray missed for me. He should be on. He probably should be on the list. There's a handful of them, but yeah, I mean, I think those guys are top of mind for me. Of players that easily could have made this list.
I was trying to think if Nathan Shepard made our list. Yeah, Nathan Shepard was 21 last year, fell off the list. He's a guy who obviously needs.
He was
the
better.
Fire's kind of burning under him right now.
He was better 2 years ago than I thought he was last year. Again, there was so much weird stuff with the D-line that I don't know how much to actually put stock in, how much gets fixed, how much doesn't. But no doubt about it. I mean, he was somebody that I kind of was like, man, I think people are just. I think he's the better DT out of the two going into last season, and then they both were just kind of the same throughout the whole entire season.
Spoiler alert, as we obviously still have 14 names to go. For the first time in the history of either you or I ever doing a list like this, no QB.
No QB.
And I mean, didn't even consider it.
Didn't
even consider it.
No QB.
It'd be very nice if Tyler Shuck's in the top 10 next year. That would go a long way toward.
Yeah, and he's not even throw him at the bottom of the second round pick. I mean, if he had been taken in the first round, maybe you throw him at the bottom of the list and you work him in. But yeah, it was like you can't include one without the other, and I'm not including either one. Whoever wins probably wins their way onto the list, but right now just gotta move on from it. Yep. Yeah. It is now time for the Get Gordon question of the day, presented by Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys. What position group other than QB are you most interested to watch in training camp?
Well, this will be a preview for our next show a little bit and recapping what we just said. But I think it's corner for me. Like, that's the place where we got 2 guys in Kool-Aid McKinstry and Alante Taylor who, I've said this a million times, I care even more about the 2026 and 2027 outlook for this team than I do the 2025 outlook. And they can make or break that so high. I mean, if those 2 guys prove to be cornerstones for this team, I feel better about their future. If they look shaky, then I feel way worse about the current for this team. So, and that's a question look, we could talk about the offensive line too, but in training camp, you can evaluate corners and how they're doing every day, every 1-on-1, every 7-on-7, every 11-on-11.
Yeah. I mean, I think for me, it's O-line. I think that's the thing I am most interested in seeing. And, I think there's a level of value that shifted a little bit for me last year in how much you place on some of these things, because it looked like Trevor Penning was unplayable and then he was playable. But I also think that's informative in the sense of if someone's getting smoked all the time on one-on-ones, that tells you how much help they have to afford to them. And then if you don't have to give somebody help on every snap, you're probably a better offensive line overall. So I think there's still a lot of value in that. I do wonder, and I think I made this point on a show with me and Brandon, I do wonder if he looked the way he did last year with this staff, if they give him the same grace and opportunity, or do you move on from it? Because I feel like the DA staff was invested in him in a way that this staff is not at all.
Yeah.
So if he's getting smoked the way he did last year in camp this year at guard, I am curious to see if they stick with it, because it kind of felt like that was a this has to work and we're riding it out and it is what it is. And if we have to shift in the season, we'll shift in the season. I don't think they need to do that this year. And I honestly don't think he starts week 1 if he looks the same as he did last year in camp.
Oh God, no. Camp? No.
That's what I'm saying.
I mean, I thought you were talking about during the season, and I'm like, yeah, he did enough to stay on the field, but camp was frightening.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I don't know if he gets to the season if camp
That's a really good point. And yeah. And look, I mean, B and I also did a show where we talked about, like, I believe in his confidence and the way he's carrying himself. Not only the day we talked to him, like 2 weeks into OTAs, and he seemed really comfortable talking to us, really enthusiastic and excited. But this is a little thing, but every other day that we've gone into the locker room since then, he's just hanging out in the locker room, comfortable, happy, chatting with guys. Like, he used to kind of walk into the locker room and be like, oh, man, like the media's waiting to talk to me, and maybe feel like hide, or I'll get you tomorrow, or I have to do this or whatever. I think, and he admitted, he acknowledged it. Last year made him feel a lot better. Like, I think he's carrying himself differently, so I'm expecting him to do better. But yeah, if it looks like it did last summer, you're right. You're 100% right. I thought that was the end. I thought it was over. That day we went out there, and he had kind of a shaky preseason game, and then came back the next practice and almost imploded. And for him to rally back from that, I think has made a big difference for him. I'm kind of surprised that the coaching staff is giving him as much credit, like, because he has no skins on the wall. I thought we'd see him and Dylan Radins at least doing the every other day thing. They're giving him every opportunity to win this, but that's a really, really good point that they'll move on if they have to. And there are other candidates, and Will Clapp's another candidate who has actually worked with this coaching staff
good point.
for multiple years. So he's going to have to prove it every day.
Absolutely. All right, that's going to do it for this show. We will be back with more Countdown on Wednesday.